Hello everybody, this is Alex from Walford Weekly Podcast for this year's character tier list. Last year I ranked the best to the worst characters of EastEnders of 2019, and there's a link now at the top of your screen if you wish to watch that first. And I'm going to do it again this year. The only rule is that a character has to be on at least 10 episodes for it to be counted on my tier list. Don't forget, this is my tier list, this is my opinion. You might agree with it, you might not. Comment below if you do. Comment below if you don't. Also, you'll find in the box below the link to make your own tier list, helpfully made by me. Have a go at it and then send it to us at Walford Weekly on our Twitter or our Instagram so we can have a look at it as well and we can share it with our community. Okay, it's time to get going. So here is the tier list board. Like last year, there is 5 different levels. Starting at the top, there's Julia's theme, the very pinnacle, the very top, the very best. Next one down is Sharon's 1995 exit. It was very good. It wasn't quite perfect. In the middle is meh. They're neither brilliant or particularly bad, just meh. But that could also count if the character's not really done very much this year. The second to last tier is incidental music, which means they really need to pull their socks up. And last but not least, there's always a special place for a few characters for Get in the Bin. A new category this year, however, is Better Luck Next Year, which is a character that had potential, could have done a lot more. We're not going to be cruel to them just yet and say they're particularly bad. We're just going to hope that they're going to have a better 2021. This is done in no particular order. It's just random of what the computer has given me. So starting off then with number 1, which is Keanu Taylor. Keanu Taylor pretty much was Boat Week with the Mitchells and with Sharon and with Ian and with Dennis and all that lot. He had a good, strong exit, I think. He kind of had a beginning of the year, then came back for a big Boat Week. It wasn't excellent, but it wasn't bad. And he's much better than meh. So I'm going to put him in Sharon's 1995 exit. Next up is Sheree. Sheree hasn't done much. She's really had the potential to have a lot to do, but she's not done a lot just yet. So she's going to be the very first to go into the Better Luck Next Year category because I don't think it's fair for me to judge her just yet. Also, I'm hoping that there's going to be good things coming because I like Sheree. She's a good character, really interesting. And her and Isaac and with Denise, with her big stories coming up too, I think there's a lot to come. Honey, at the time of recording this, hasn't had her big crescendo with Jay story yet, but I like that they're doing that story. Like last year, she's not really done a lot. She obviously had the Adam story with Habiba. That was actually very good. I forget about that. The very strong story with her and Habiba and Adam, but I don't think she's quite pulled herself out of that meh category just yet. So Honey is in meh. Jags left this year for very good reason, and he goes in the bin. We have Ash. Ash has a lot to give. Introduced as someone who's got a past that we've not quite figured out yet, and her mum Sookie, perhaps there's something there. Not shown her full potential yet, but I don't think it's fair to put her as meh. I'm gonna say Better Luck Next Year and hope that she has a really good 2021. Habiba unfortunately left this year. The writers didn't seem to know what to do with Habiba, and that's a shame. Even though she's left this year, I'm not going to put her in the bin. I'm going to put her as incidental music. When they introduced her with Ikra, they were saying they're going to pack such a punch and it's going to be great, and just nothing came of it. Big Mo's not really been in it very much, and it surprises me that she did pass that 10 episode threshold. But she's done nothing to offend me, so she goes in the middle with meh. And the reason why she doesn't have a Better Luck Next Year is because I don't think they'll do much with her next year either, and she'll probably stay in that meh category then as well. Rainey, everyone knows my feelings about Rainey and Stewart, but Stewart's a little bit later on, so I'll discuss him a bit later. But Rainey is fantastic. Again, of me recording this, we've just done the revelation when AWOL came back home, and her and Stewart are basically getting quite turned on by Stewart's evil deeds. And oh my goodness, I was excited about Rainey's story if they were going to do the surrogacy route and the very kind of thoughtful family, delving into Rainey's past, the way her troubled past a bit more. But I also was really gunning for her to have that big storyline when her and Stewart are evil and really, really bad. They've certainly had a good 2020. I think they're going to have an excellent 2021. And on that strength, I'm putting her in Sharon's 1995 exit. And next year, she'd better be a Julius theme, because if she's not, I'm going to cry. Isaac hasn't really done anything this year. And I've put his mum in Better Luck next year. I mean, there's that story with him and Patrick. There's the drug story, which we haven't really looked into very much. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and give him a Better Luck next year. Not a Mayor just yet. This is why I introduced Better Luck next year, because so many people were in Mayor just because I didn't really know what they were going to do or what they had done, particularly in the whole scheme of things. So he is a Better Luck next year. Peter Bill. I've not been very reserved with the fact that Peter Bill hasn't really clicked with me just yet. Whether it's the writing, whether it's the actor, I'm not quite sure. He's one of those I'm not particularly fussed about what they do with him next year. I very much expect he'll probably be given a lot to do. Ikra, the same reasons as Habiba. She's not been given anything to do. Her big story really was the one with Keegan and the sandwiches. She mentioned her business degree quite often. They've kind of pushed her to the back. Ash and her story is quite interesting, but for some bizarre reason, soaps don't like doing same-sex female couples as much as they like doing same-sex male couples. The fair thing would be to put her in the same category as Ash. But I think Ash has got a different path to take, and I've got a funny feeling that her and Ikra are going to go separate ways in 2021. And I don't hold out a lot of hope for Ikra, which I hope not, and I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to put her with her sister, and she's in incidental music. Billy Mitchell, I just don't get the point of Billy Mitchell anymore. Why is he there? He just kind of mumps around and moans and blames everyone for his own faults, and it's not to say that the character can't be good. It's just that the character hasn't been very good for me. And so for this year, I think they did the same this year as I'm doing last year, and that's getting the bid. Louise Mitchell. Oh, Lou. She had those lovely moments in the pub when she was going dum, when she kept thinking about what she had done to Keanu. She had a nice enough exit. She kind of just went out with a little bit of a plop. There's potential for her to come back, but for her 2020, she was a meh. Chantelle. So the Chantelle and Grey story was brilliant. It was really good. The relationship between Chantelle and Grey and his ultimate killing of Chantelle and the domestic abuse story was absolutely brilliant. For that, 100% great. I may get a bit of hate here, but I don't think it was perfect. And the aftermath with Chantelle, which has got nothing to do with Chantelle, but the aftermath of that story has been diabolical. But Chantelle is a 1995 exit for Sharon. Ruby, it ended up being actually a character I enjoyed this year. I like that she's becoming her father. She's like getting hits out on Stacey. She's got her nails into Martin. I've got a horrible feeling that they're planning to do a bit of a rethink with the way Ruby's mindset has been this year in 2021. But for this year, she was watchable and enjoyable, which is surprising because I didn't think they could do very much with Ruby, and they have. She's better than Mare, but I don't think she's going to have a good year next year. So maybe I should just give her a nice Sharon's 1995 exit for 2020 and hope I'm wrong and she does have a good year in 2021. Dottie, there was so much they could have done with Dottie, and she had that great story when her and Dennis became quite friendly. She had the blackmail with Ian. I think they panicked maybe a little bit with what to do with Dottie and Ian because they had to stop filming for a little while. That kind of ruined Dottie a tiny little bit. So I'm going to put her in Better Luck next year. I hope they do better things with Dottie, because there's a lot they can do with Dottie. Vinny, he had that story where he kind of worked with Ruby. Ruby, Dottie and Vinny are kind of almost the same group, aren't they? And so I'm presuming he might have more next year, especially if the Panasars become a bit more central to more of the stories, which they have started to become the end of this year. On the strength that the Panasars are all going to have a very good 2021, he goes in Better Luck next year as well. And let's hope he does have a better 2021. Keegan's had an alright year. He married to Tiff. That racism storyline when D.I. Gaffney arrested him wrongly, but then he was carried on being hounded. That was done well. I think it was watchable. It was relatable for, I'm sure, a lot of the community in the UK. I don't think that he has done enough though with regards to the Chantelle and Grace story. So Keegan's going in Mare, and that's that. Ugh, Max Branning. I'm not a fan of the character Max Branning, and so my opinion is always very biased toward him. He is having an affair with Linda, which makes him even more unlikable, breaking up Mick and Linda, who was such a strong and one of the best characters for the soap for many, many years. I mean, they were tearing themselves apart.
You are tearing me apart!
Still, Max having a hand in it is just makes him so unlikable. And he is staying with his brother and then moaned because Jack's children needed the bedroom and he wanted the bedroom for himself. Max Branning is just so whiny, and he's blackmailing Ian Bill. It comes to something that I actually support Ian Bill's cause more than Max Branning's in this instance. I know it's very biased because I do not like the character, but I'm afraid he's just going in the bin again because I just dislike Max Branning so much, and there's nothing they can do with him anymore. And I think the actor, if it was his choice to leave, he's done the right thing and it's time for him to move on. Stewart Highway is a very quick and easy one because I love him and Rainey, and I put Rainey in Sharon's 1995 exit, and I'm going to put him next to her as well because I think they've had a great year, and I very much look for. They don't need a better luck next year because they're just going to go up one more notch and become a Julia scene because I'm so excited about what's coming for them. Tiff Butcher, see, this is where you kind of, because Tiff and Keegan have had very similar storylines, it'll be unfair to really put one above the other one, so I'm afraid Tiff is going to go in Mare as well. I did like the surrogacy story with them though, and there was again a beautiful scene with Stewart and both Keegan and Tiff, but Stewart and Tiff mainly, where they just had that dialogue together, which I absolutely adored and loved. Sonia is just like the forgotten character, and if you go to Natalie Cassidy's Instagram, she just seems to have a lot of time off at the moment. I can't judge Sonia because she's not done anything. Was it this year she stole money from Dot? Was it right at the beginning of January? I forget. Or was it right at the end of 2019? Oh, this year's a boggle. I can't judge Sonia, so I'm just gonna have to hope that she has a better 2021, and I hope she does. Oh, I love Sookie Panasan. I just adore him. I like all the Panasan story as well, you know. He had that brilliant scene with Stacey, which I really enjoyed. Not done too much before. Oh, he had the Chantelle story. Of course he did. He had the Chantelle tying in with that as well. So he's had a good year. He's not really had a very long run with something. He's kind of just been thrown into something and then very short story and then goes into thrown in a short story again. I know he's going to have a good year next year. And I know I put Vinny in better luck next year, but that's because he's not done a lot this year for me to judge him. But I think with the Panasars, he will have more to do in 2021. But Crit, I think, has done enough. And again, it's my list. He's going to be a Sharon's 1995 exit. He's good. Jay, I really love what they're doing with Jay. It's with Honey. I put Honey into Mare. Has Jay done anything other than the Honey story? He broke up with Lola. Oh, for breaking up with Lola, he's pretty much almost in Julia's theme this year. I think he's a bit better than Honey. Is he a Mare? Or is he a better luck next year? Oh, I really can't decide. I'm going to put Jay into Mare. I'm putting him into Mare, but next to Honey. They've had stuff to do this year, and they can have better next year. So they're not quite better luck next year because they've had stuff to do this year. Frankie came rolling in, really confident, really brash, brilliant character. Spoke to Ben, spoke to Callum, had that. We thought that was that. She stayed on, had the story with Mick, with the historical child abuse storyline. I'm guessing she's going to stay on. There's going to be more to her this year, but she's not done too much for me to kind of like super praise her. But next year I want to say she's done so much that I'm super praising her and gushing like an idiot. So for now she's Mare, but that seems unkind for me to give her that. So actually I'm going to give her a better luck. No, I'm not. She's a Mare. Bobby Bill, he's had good stories this year and he's been strong and very watchable on screen. He had that wonderful bit in the train with Callum. Callum and Bobby are a surprising duo when they're on screen together. There's some real good scenes with them together. And his OCD, I think, has been portrayed very nicely. The sense that I think it's relatable for someone with the same condition. So, and Bobby's certainly done a lot more than what Peter's done. So on that strength alone, I'm giving him Sharon's 1995 I am giving him Sharon's 1995 exit. Lola, Lola, she cried a lot, slept with Peter, always just there, kind of chipping in every now and then. Stood up for Phil, I suppose. So I think the fact that she stood up to Phil gets her out of getting the bin, but doesn't go much further than that, and so incidental music is hers for this year. Sookie Panasan, I love Sookie Panasan so much. She's so great. She can say so much with just one raise of the eyebrow. I hoped that she was going to be the one who cracked the Grey case, but she hasn't. She's kind of just done her own story, being a bit mischievous with her son Crit. And Crit's in Sharon's 1995 exit, and I have no doubt whatsoever, with some good stories, she is a Julius theme. Again, she's one that I'm hoping next year has the potential of going right up to the top. Tina, when the actress said she was leaving, I wasn't particularly fussed. She literally had scenes where she was with other extras and the extras had more lines than her. I'm not going to say she should get in the bin, but I'm certainly not saying she's any better than Meh. So I think she's gone down a grade than I did last year, and so she's incidental music. Hello, future Alex here, and I just want to interrupt myself just to let you know that I recorded this at the beginning of December, and now that I'm editing it, Christmas week has passed, and actually I would move Tina from incidental music up to Meh. But I'm not going to re-edit the whole thing just for that one occasion, so she's staying in incidental music. Ryan Fowler's not really done much this year, has he really? He's done a lot at the beginning of the year. He's got together with Ruby, but apart from that, not really much to write home about. Can't see, other than with a few stories with Ruby, I can't really see him doing a lot more next year either. Maybe him and Stacey will get back together again. I've just noticed I put Ruby in Sharon's 1995 exit, which I feel maybe was a bit generous, but I'm not changing my mind. Once I've made my mind, it's staying there. Martin is going below that though, and he's going in the Meh territory. Can you believe it? We're on to Daniel Cook. A little bit biased because I love Adrian Emerson. He's a fantastic comedic actor. He actually portrayed the character of Daniel very well. Him and Jean were a force to be reckoned with. Obviously I can't put him in Better Luck next year because unless he comes back from the dead a second time, it's unlikely he's going to be in the soap. He was better than Meh. I liked Daniel Cook. I liked his character, and I liked the way he was portrayed on screen by the actor and the way he died. He gets a Sharon's 1995 exit. Mitch didn't seem to care that his daughter has died, apart from the odd tear here and there. He had a go at Grey, and that was pretty much it. He's not particularly someone who, when he's on screen, I feel like it's lit up when he's there. So Mitch goes in the bin. Denise, I'm so happy they've done so much more with Denise this year. She was becoming this character where she would be on Arthur's bench, to the cafe, to the Vic, to Arthur's bench, to the cafe, to the Vic, and she would just hand out advice to people, which I didn't mind, and it felt like she was being built up to something, and she is being built up to something, and she hasn't had her big story just yet, as I record this, but I know it's coming, and I think she's done enough this year to say she doesn't need a Better Luck next year. She's had a good this year, she'll have an even better next year, and to reward Denise, I'm going to give her a 1995 exit. Jean, her relationship with Daniel was good. I remember last year saying I wanted more with Jean. It's a shame that her breakdown story kind of got forgotten and they just gave up on it almost. With that in mind, I'm actually going to put Jean in Meh because I want them to give her more than next year. 2020 can be marked as the year where I actually enjoyed watching Jack Branning on screen. He had some proper beautiful moments with Tiff, some great moments with Denise, who was proper watchable. I had fears that when he became a police officer he was going to be an idiot and a bit corrupt. He's had his moments, but nothing that's particularly offended me. And believe it or not, and I think this is the biggest leap from last year, Jack Branning is going into Sharon's 1995 exit category. That is shocking, considering I think I laid into Jack Branning quite heavily last year. Kat, what's Kat really done? It's really been a bit of a disappointment with Kat. I mean, the actress had a break for one reason or another, and so they couldn't really develop Kat very much. Her lack of care for Kush near the end of this year, and just the general kind of throwaway disregard of everyone's feelings, and she just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like the Kat that, ever since Alfie's return, Kat's character has not really felt the same for me. I just want to put her in incidental music. I just want to put her there because something just doesn't feel right with Kat at the moment. Now, poor old Bernie has literally had nothing this year, and so just straight away she goes in the Better Luck next year category because she really does deserve more than what she was given. She was just a background character, similar to Habiba really was, but they've kept her and they really should develop her sexuality story. That scene of Pride with her and Tina was fantastic, and why didn't they carry on with something like that with her? It just doesn't just doesn't sit right with me. Karen Taylor, again, not really done much. She had that relationship with Billy, which made Billy go up in my estimations ever so slightly, but not really done a lot. And again, it's just, why is there not any aftermath with the Chantelle story? So for that, she goes in incidental music. Kathy Bill, I mean, she's a queen. It almost feels like it's an automatic Julia's theme for her. Has she done enough? Actually, they've given us some stories this year. They've given us stuff to kind of get into, but again, nothing particularly very interesting. I don't think she deserves a Julia's theme this year. God, I'm going to get so much hate. I'm going to put Kathy in Julia's theme. She needs more to do. Whitney, I love Whitney. I actually really enjoyed Whitney's story with Leo, believe it or not. The way it was presented on Boat Week when she handed herself in was great. The stuff afterwards was a little bit more questionable. When she started singing Whole Again in the cell, that kind of took her Julia's theme status away and knocked her down one level. So Whitney gets us Sharon's 1995 exit. I mean, there's that story with Grey, I think, bubbling along, and she does like going with the bad men of the square, so we think we've got that coming up. Shirley kind of just bubbles along, doesn't she? She's had a few bits and pieces this year, and she's attached herself to the Mitchells. She's attached herself to Grey as well, which is a real strange relationship, but that's fine. Shirley's going to go in meh, I think. That's meant in a nice way. Don't eat me, Shirley. Kush had a really good, strong year. Then when they came back from lockdown, the story took a bizarre turn. And now he's a little bit annoying. But I know that this is kind of leading to an exit. However, I can't put him any higher than Mare. And I think I put him higher last year because he was hot. And he's still hot. But unfortunately, that status has been taken over by Crit. Callum's a bit of a fine character. He's just so nice and so fragile, and the police storyline doesn't seem to suit him very much, and I know they did it deliberately, so there's that conflict in the Mitchell family between him and Ben and Phil. It just doesn't seem to work, so I don't think he's done anything that kind of has made me go, ooh, Callum, he's really great. I know I'm going to get absolutely mauled for this comment, but he is going to go in meh. Grey had a great story with Chantelle. I've pretty much given the reasons why Chantelle was in Sharon's 1995 exit, and I'm going to put Grey in there too. However, they need to pull their socks up with what they're going to do with Grey. It's just ridiculous how they're playing it out at the moment. Phil has had a surprisingly busy year. They put a rocket up his bum and he's just suddenly gone absolutely mad. There's been some real moments with Phil this year. They've been really good, and the relationship between him and Ben has been, again, fascinating to watch. I actually really enjoyed Phil this year. Again, it's almost like Jack. He surprised me how much I enjoyed Phil, so I'm going to put him in Sharon's 1995 exit. Actually, very similar reasons to Ian Bill as well. I don't necessarily love the character of Ian Bill. It's surprising how they're still able to give him stories, and we used to say build up the bills, and they have built up the bills, and it's actually helped Ian out a lot because it's made his stories a lot more interesting to watch. So on that strength, I'm going to put him in Sharon's 1995 exit as well. I'm sure that there's going to be a bit of a slowdown with him, that there's going to be not so much Ian Bill on screen. Sharon had some real moments, like when she gave birth in the funeral parlour during Boat Week, when she found out Dennis had died, when she had the box of possessions from Dennis, when she got the Queen Vic back. I mean, Sharon's had a wonderful year, and there's no other place other than Julia's theme for Sharon, of course. Patrick pretty much spent a lot of the year not on the soap, and he's not really done much, so I'm going to put him as better luck next year. There has to be more for him to come because of him and Isaac. Linda and Mick. And again, I'm going to get probably a lot of people not liking me for this comment, but I really not like their story this year. Especially that Max has been entangled in it as well. I don't even want to put them in Mare. That's how annoying the story is. But I prefer Linda's story to Mick's. So I'm actually going to do one after the other. Put Linda as Mare, and I'm putting Mick as incidental music. And Danny Dyer will kill me for that comment. Ben Mitchell. I mean, I think Ben's done more than Callum this year. Phil is starting to come out of Ben now, and I don't hate that. He had obviously the death storyline, which wasn't done particularly brilliantly and was again just dropped like they have with the Chantelle story. I'm going to put Ben in meh. Two reasons. One, because then he's with Callum, and two, because it just didn't feel like I gelled with Ben this year. the same way I had in maybe previous years. Bex, I mean, Bex I don't think again was in a lot of episodes, but she had that suicide storyline which was very good, actually. I've quite enjoyed that. But again, a little bit rushed. She's gone off travelling. We don't know what's happened to her. I'm a bit worried. I'm sure she'll be back though, and when she does come back, we'll hope that she can have more stories with Sonia. But I can't put her as better luck next year because she's not actually in the cast anymore. So I'm going to put her as meh. Leo, again, like I said, Leo and Whitney's story I quite enjoyed. I forgot. There's that wonderful scene when they're in the hotel. Her and him hash it out. It's a really good scene, actually. I forgot how good that scene is. But I would have put him in this place probably anyway, and that's Sharon's 1995 exit. For no other reason, that ridiculously poor pun of his market store. Poor Dennis. He was the scapegoat for someone needed to be killed at the boat week. We all kind of said it should have been Tina. I think in retrospect it should have been Tina. The actor up until boat week was so good to watch. I mean, I really enjoyed watching him. It was such a shame they got rid of him. I mean, there is storylines coming out of it still, but will there still be stories coming out of it in 5 years' time? Who can tell? I really enjoyed the beginning of 2020 with Dennis. So he's going to get Sharon's 1995 exit. Or Dennis's 2020 exit. And last but not least, there's Stacey. Again, Stacey kind of went missing for a little bit, but when she came back, she was pretty good, pretty cool. Her and Ruby's feud, I'm enjoying quite a lot, but I don't think she was in it a lot this year. She's not meant to be in it a lot next year, so I can't put her as better luck next year. And I wonder if she has done enough this year to kind of make her go above the meh category. I'm going to put Stacey in Sharon's 1995 exit because I think Stacey is better than Meh. So there you have it. That is my tier list for EastEnders characters 2020. What do you think? Don't forget you can get in touch with us on Twitter at Walford Weekly. You can find the link to make your own tier list below, and there is more content on our YouTube channel. Please click the links to find them, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video.